Welcome back, everybody. Last presentation today, but I'm most excited for this in a way because it's the new ZBrush for iPad presentation by none other than our very own Ian Robinson, who's also known as IR Sculpt. He's also a senior trainer at Maxon and does everything ZBrush. So this is going to be exciting. He's going to show tips and tricks of how to use ZBrush on iPad, which we have released recently, 3 days ago. You can also download the assets which are created by the artist and play around with them. And I'll let Ian take over, and he'll explain things further.
All right. Thank you, buddy. What's going on, everybody? So get ready for loud and proud and very excited for ZBrush for iPad, which you can see here on the screen. Before we get into that, we're going to play you a little something, because that's how we roll. So let me go ahead and come back over here. Boop, little sneak peek. Let's do it. Right? So ZBrush for iPad. Thank you. So what's really important about knowing ZBrush for iPad is the history of ZBrush and where it's come from and where it's going. The number one thing to remember about ZBrush in general is that for the last 25 years, it's really helped shape the industries that it's been a part of, from games, films, toys, animation, architecture, you name it. If there was sculpting involved somehow, some way, it was a part of that. And now we're going into the next evolution and going mobile, which is really, really important, not only for us as a company, but also for you as the artist when you want to take your creations on the go. So this is going to be a little bit more of like a how to get started right away. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is this nice little help icon, which is this guy right there. Now you might see a little blue finger showing up here and there. That's because I'm in presentation mode. So anytime you plug in your iPad to any device and display it, it automatically showcases where I'm touching. So you don't have to guess, it's just right there. So if I click that little guy right there, what it will do, my internet's a little funky dunky, so I preloaded it, but it will take you to an entire Getting Started series that we created here at Maxon. So shout out to my colleague, Rodolfo Silva, because he went through and just really knocked out about 20 videos. You can see my internet's a little slow here. That's my fault because I'm tethered. But the thing is that you can go ahead and just start watching today and get started on it. So really, just dive in, just have some fun. Going back to ZBrush itself, we're just, like I said, going to go over how to get started. So you can see I have a ton of projects here, and we're going to go over some of that today to kind of show you the high fidelity that ZBrush can offer, because there's 3 things specifically that we really wanted to focus on. The brush system is what ZBrush is most known for. It's that intuitive, like that really tactile feel without being super tactile. It's like it just feels right, if you know what I mean. Customability, be able to customize your UI, and then of course too, just being able to have high fidelity sculpts. So let's just start off with not being super narcissistic, I promise, but me. So one of the things I've been really passionate about is photogrammetry lately, and of course meshes that are scanned usually are quite dense, so I thought, let's just show it off. So here, I hit a button. Did I hit something? What happened? Hold on. There it is. Okay, my computer went to sleep mode, so don't mind that. I'll have to wiggle that. So here, you can see, if we zoom in, I was actually scanned about 2 years ago by a scan truck company called the Scan Truck over at the ZBrush Summit. And they were nice enough to provide me myself. And what you can see here is up here at the top, we have a silhouette, but next to that is a number that actually shows how dense this is. So this is about 3.2 million, which is not too crazy, but you can go ahead and turn around and clean certain things up, like my lovely boss and CEO, Dave. There he is. Well, we wanted to 3D print him, and if you're done with this, on the other side there's a 3D printer. You can actually check out the model, but we totally cleaned him up here, and we did all of this within ZBrush for iPad. So now, one of the other things we're going to call out while we're looking at Dave's face is the UI. So the UI is the number one thing that is very, very different from ZBrush in general. If you've seen ZBrush, oh yeah, you have it? Perfect, awesome. It seems that every year at IBC, I provide a 3D print. So let's just go ahead and hand that to you. There you go. And if you could pass that around, it'd be great. So the UI is the number one thing that everybody says, oh my God, Ian, ZBrush UI, I can't learn it, it's impossible. Well, we took that to heart, and we thought instead of just going ahead and just changing the desktop up and freaking everybody out, we would go ahead and take advantage of the new iPad and the UI. So we're going to go over that first, which on here on the left-hand side, we actually have a ton of brushes that ZBrush ships with. And the thing to point out is all of them now have folders. So you can quickly identify the brushes you would like to use within ZBrush. You also have some nice materials. And we're going to shout out Monster Clay. This is a new addition to our material set. We actually partnered with Monster Clay, scanned actual clay, brought it in. So if I want to see what my boss would look like, I can actually come here, grab this. And we're going to go ahead and quickly grab an RGB color. So let's come here, hold on, boop. Let's go ahead, add in material, and then come in and say fill. So now I can see what he looks like with Monster Clay. So I have material sets. I do have my alphas and stroke types that have been brought over as well because the brush system is utilizing those two functions. And then you saw here quickly, I actually have a way to color and paint. And then down here at the bottom, if we come over here, boop, we actually have focus shift control. We have brush size control, which might be a little hard to see, but there it is. If I touch right there. So you can actually increase that. What's really fun too is we took advantage of the touch sensitivity. So if I were to press and hold, drag up and let go, boop, there we go. So if I were to press and hold, drag up and let go, my screen is blinking. I need to really learn how to use a Mac. So, well, wait, there you go, pause for effect. I just want to keep you guys in suspense. I'm just going to let the Mac do that every now and then. So I can go ahead and drag and then let go, and it snaps to that. So I can quickly press and hold something, increase my sensitivity, increase my brush size, and go ahead, and that will drop off. So it's just a nice way to go ahead and make changes. If you're used to ZBrush, and you have the opposite hand, then you'll notice that a lot of times you had a keyboard that you would go to. You would say B, C, B, or whatever for what brush you're looking for. Here, you're actually just going ahead and using this nice little widget system. And this widget system is going to become your best friend. You can see I have Shift, Control, and Alt, and then Spacebar, which opens up a custom menu. And this custom menu is something that we're going to get into in a little bit, but you can also position this in different areas to suit your needs for sculpting. So if you like your custom menu popping up over here, and you're used to sculpting off over here on the side, you can bring that widget there, and you can go ahead and do all that. So super fun, easy to use. The next part is on the right-hand side, which is where all of the palettes and stuff live. So again, anytime you're inside of ZBrush, you have a lot of familiar tools with you. So we have Array Mesh, we have Slime Bridge, Subtools, all the fun stuff. And it's really easy to come in here, up at the top, and say Insert a new primitive. I can go ahead and use my two fingers to pinch and zoom. And then we can go ahead down here at the bottom and just open up our nice little gizmo. We can scale this down. We can start putting a hat or whatever we would like on there. So full customization. So you have your tool sets and stuff. I don't know why I said full customization because we haven't even got into that yet. So just seeing who's paying attention. All right. Next, we also have our subtool menu. This one's really cool because the subtool menu is something everyone's asked to have separate from everything else. So we took note and we said, you know what? That's what we can do. We can break apart our subtools so then you can have accessibility to them right away. And also, there's this little icon right up here, and if I drag that off, I now actually get a nice little sub-menu for that. I really need to do that. So a nice little sub-menu here that I can quickly open up my favorite palettes without having to go in and dig every time. So it's really good and easy to come in here and actually just pick that up. And it remembers where I was last at. So if I was on thick skin or something like that and I close that down and then I go ahead and start sculpting, which I'm just gonna come in here and just like, boom, start sculpting on them. I can come back, open that up, and you can see it's still there on thick skin. So it's really just helpful to keep an eye on where things are. Let's go ahead and do that. At the bottom here, we actually have our popular brushes. These are some of the most popular brushes that we've actually have been watching the user base, watching the community, and they say that they love these brushes the most. So we ship with these brushes right away. So you can go ahead and start using the clay buildup, the dam standard, the standard brush, etc. All these brushes live here at the bottom. But as you'll notice, I can swipe and I get a little plus sign down there. So what happens if I click that? Well, now I have access to all of my brushes, and now we're into customization. So for here, I can actually come in and say, you know what, all those brushes are great, but I have a few other ones that I really, really, really like. So I love chisel brushes. These are some of my favorite. So I can go ahead, click and press, drag this down to the bottom, and I can put that there, and I can just start adding. But one at a time is a little boring and a little problematic. I just want to be done with it. So instead, I can go ahead, click and drag one time, and then I can say, well, I need some cloth brushes. And while I'm holding, I need some of these IMM brushes, need a couple paint brushes, and maybe a couple select brushes. Now I have 9 brushes, and I can drag and drop them, and there they are. So they all pop down at the bottom. I can even do the opposite. What if I made a mistake and grabbed too many brushes? So I can go ahead and hold that, and then I can start clicking, and then I can drag that down to the bottom and delete them, and now they're gone. And this is actually a really cool key feature that Apple provides for even customizing the apps on the phone or the iPad. Now we brought that technology straight into ZBrush. The other one is the quick menu. So you'll hear this quite often. ZBrush has menus upon menus upon menus, and this is, well, it's true. We have a lot of stuff. So instead of having to always go in and dig down and find your favorite feature, you can actually go into your quick menu, and for here you can say, you know what, I want my own custom menu, things I rely on the most. So I can go to geometry and say, you know what, reconstruct subdivision, I want to have that, that, and that, drag that over here. I really love my poly groups, so I want to keep all that stuff, and I'll drag that here. And I'll probably do some more poly group stuff, maybe some contact stuff. Grab all of this cool stuff, drag it here, and you can see too now if I keep adding, I can actually end up just scrolling up and have that functionality. So I can have one custom menu for everything, or I can have up to 5 to have a lot of everything. So think about like hard surface. You like when you get in hard surface mode, then you have certain brushes for that. When you get into sculptural organic mode, you have brushes for that. So you can organize in that way, and that can really just help kind of save time. And again, all of that is accessible with the space bar right up here. So then I can swipe over, and there is my custom menu, and I can come in and drag and grab that stuff ASAP. All right, great. So that's it, right? No. So again, the thing to remember is the full power of ZBrush is now with you. Now, not every feature made it in this first build. However, there are a lot of plans to bring more and keep that one-to-one base. So as we go through this, let's talk about saving real quick, because of course, I can just grab a brush, I can just start sculpting, but what happens when I want to save my project? Well, up here at the top left-hand side, which, oh yeah, I can use that little guy. So up there, I actually have a couple icons. I have my home icon, which would send me back to the home page I first started with. I have the ability to save. And also, any brush or any button that has a little arrow icon, it's a little hard to see, but it's like a little kind of triangle arrow. That signifies a long press action. And so I can save as, save next, or I can adjust any of that stuff in the user setting, which I'll show you where that is in a minute. We also have the ability to import. And this is going to be one of the biggest used features, because how many ZBrush artists out there, especially you online, how many have your own custom brushes and you want to use those? Yeah, a lot. I know I do. I have about 150 custom brushes, so I easily want to bring that in, and you absolutely can. So you can come in here, do brush, and you can do a select file. You can find your brushes really quickly and import them right away. You can also import other models, which is how I got Dave in here in the first place. I was able to drag him in here and start working on them. So I can bring in those files, textures, floor grids, alphas, materials, anything you've done in the past with native ZBrush, save those out and bring them in and take your custom experience on the go. We also have the ability to export. Now, exporting is pretty straightforward. We actually support a few different file types. We have OBJ, USDZ, ZTL, ZPR, etc. But the one on top, which if you go into the playlist at the bottom, it'll actually show you a good presentation of it, is GoZ now allows you to send your model from ZBrush straight to the latest version of ZBrush Desktop. And the way to do that is to keep your, if you're on, you need to be on the same network essentially. So you need to have the same Wi-Fi signal or the same network connected, but then your computer will show up and then it will just boop straight on over and you can go back and forth between the two. So you can start in the iPad, you're at the zoo, you're hanging out with your kids, you're sculpting monkeys, and then you turn around, go home, send it to your desktop, and it's good to go. You also, too, on at least the latest versions of the M series of the iPad, they're Type-C connectivity. So I've been walking around with a hard drive, pretty much just saving things on my 1 terabyte hard drive and moving stuff back and forth that way. But with GoZ, it makes it a lot faster. And it doesn't matter if it's Mac or PC. If you have an iPad, you're on PC. As long as you're on the same network, it should connect just fine. And then at the top right-hand side, we have a few other buttons. So we have our famous recall history that's up here. So anything that you've done in the time being. So we did have this little weird hat at the top that I put in there. So that is your undo history. We have our customization button at the top. We also have a little help menu, and then we have our user settings. And so with our user settings, you can actually see that we have a few different features in here that we've been trying to utilize the hardware of the actual Apple devices, which this is an Apple Pencil Pro. And so one of the things that we've been doing is functioning on the squeeze and the double tap of the feature. So if I go ahead and double tap, notice like it's kind of hard to see online, but I'm up here at the top. If I double tap, you can actually see that I'm turning on and off the wireframe. And if I squeeze, I actually have symmetry turned on, but I can change this to whatever I need it to be. So I could change the action of squeezing to fit. So then if I squeeze, it's actually going to snap back and forth. So this way I can kind of like get an idea of my experience in ZBrush and how I want to function it. And sometimes I like to snap in, but also too, what if I'm zoomed all the way like this? If you've sculpted it for a while, then you know what I'm talking about. You're already here. Just a quick squeeze, and I'm already back. And it's just so much easier to use. So you're not like trying to fight the application. And then, of course, we have the ability to adjust our navigation, which this one's really, really important because out the gate, as you can see, I'm able to go ahead and pinch and zoom, rotate, navigate. I can let go with one finger, and I can kind of zoom in and out. But I can change this experience for me by focusing on how I rotate. There's a lot of artists that love rotating on the y-axis. So if I click that, now it's just going to be a little bit easier to rotate on that y-axis. I can actually come over here too and adjust my zoom speed. So there are other applications where the zoom on a device might be a little slower, a little faster. So you can change all of that right away. So if you would like it slower, you can just go ahead and change that experience for you. And anywhere where you see a number, you can actually turn around and tap, and you get a nice little calculator. And that calculator allows you to put in a custom number of your choosing. So now I can rotate real slow or real fast, depends on how you want to do it. So there's a ton of stuff to dive into. I won't bore you with all the technicalities of this today, but just know that your user experience is really important to us. So we made sure to really focus on the user settings and the functionality of that so you can have a unique experience for yourself. And if you push it too far and you don't remember certain settings, you can always come back in and just reset your settings and go back to scratch. But the thing to remember is that when you make a change here, so if I come in here and I say, oh yeah, I want this to be 0.75 and I want this to be 0.68, whatever, random numbers, but let's say that's where you settle on things. The thing to remember is that it automatically saves that preset for you. So if I close down ZBrush for iPad, come back in, it's going to remember that. I don't have to go to preferences and config and save that. It automatically does that for you. Very cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple other things. So I'm just not going to save that project. And so I'm going to pull up somebody who is a little adorable, but this little guy. And we'll go over a few quick features and stuff like that. And then, yeah. So here, boop. Let's come in here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So a little mushroom dude that was working on. He actually happened to make it in the video, which was really, really cool. But some of the things that we would like to remember is, again, how do we want to have our experience with our application? So if we go ahead and just take a look at the body of him real quick. So I press and hold Alt and I tap his body. If we turn on the wireframe, you can see I have this little guy selected. And so here, focusing on the bottom, there's a few things that we really want to pay attention to. You notice that he's actually in Dynamesh mode. And so if I go ahead and hover over the state, you can see I have a lot of options with this one little button. And this is how I like to sculpt. I like to basically sketch on the fly. That's how I look at sculpting. I basically have a blackout method, and then I refine as I go. And we took that into consideration when we were talking about the experience of iPad. So you can start off with Dynamesh, and you also have the ability to turn on and off Sculptress, which helps you get really fine details that are actually in, something that's low res. So if you want like a scar on a low res character and you only want to rebuild, we have Sculptress that is on there. So with this brush, we could actually come in, start sculpting, and you can see the resolution is changing right away. And then when we're satisfied with that, we can go into the next step of the process, which is to ZBrush. So we have this little ZBrusher that's right next to that process. And we can turn off Sculptress for this. And I can turn around and go ahead and ZBrush. But before I do that, maybe I want to come up here at the top and click this little icon. And this little icon up here is actually allowing me, let me use my finger here. This little icon right here allows me to save history and state, because again, recall history is super important in the ZBrush world. So I want to save that history. So when it's orange like that, it's turned on. And when it's not orange, it's turned off. So we'll go ahead and turn that on for a second. Let's come back to ZBrusher. And we're just going to do some of my custom favorite settings, which I like to have adapt turned on, but I turn adaptive size down. Make sure my symmetry, he is symmetrical, so let's turn that on, which is right over here. And then we're just going to go ahead and say, you know what, let's do about 2500, and let's go ahead and hit ZBrusher. And again, you have the power of ZBrush on the iPad. So it's just going to go ahead and take a second, or maybe I broke it. That's kind of how my live streams go. While it's thinking, oh, nope, it's done. Never mind. So yeah, you can see right here that we went ahead and ZBrushed it, and we can also turn around and say, you know what, let's just do half and ZBrush that again. And that takes a second, and then we have it. So once you have that here, then you go to the next step, which is you just need to subdivide. So we can subdivide a few times, and then we can just literally come up here to our subtool, and we can come up to our project, and then we can do our project history. It's going to ask, hey, I had color on there. Do we want to have that color information? Say yes. Go ahead and give that a second. And this is usually how my live streams go, which is normally about Wednesdays, where I just talk forever and they pay me to do it, which is super awesome. But now you can see here, boop, there we go. I got that color information back. So now I was able to move into the next step of that process. And again, I turn that off. And so I'm able to just take all of the familiar methods of ZBrush and just be on the go. And that's the most important part about this when you're working with ZBrush for iPad. Now, one thing I'm going to say right away, because I bet you there are questions going on in the comments right now in the live stream, there are 4 ways to get ZBrush for iPad. There's a free version where you just go ahead, download the app, and just sign in and just play with it. It's limited on, it doesn't have all the brushes, doesn't have all the features, but it gives you the right experience so you can play with it without having to worry about, oh, is this going to be different? The only difference is that it's just a few features and stuff are locked. There is a paid standalone version, which is $9.99 a month on from the App Store, so $9.99 a month, or $89.99 US, by the way. Those are US prices. The regions do vary, but for the year, it'd be $89.99. And then if you are already a part of Maxon 1, then you already have it, so congratulations, no excuse. Please go download that and tag me at IR Sculpts. And then, of course, if you already have a ZBrush license subscription, guess what? You already got it. So then you can also go download it, and then you can bother me later online. So just wanted to get that out of the way real quick. Cool. I only have a few more minutes left, but some of the things I would like to shout out real fast is just show you how powerful this is. And we have quite a few different sculpts. One of them that I'm going to pull up right now. So on a sorry, I've already butchered her name, and I so apologize. Anna Smeltzer. She's actually presenting, I believe, tomorrow. So this is one of her models. She was a beta tester here, and you can just see the level of detail and just how beautiful of work you can get. We also, when working with Monster Clay, we had hired an artist to come in and give it a test and actually, see like, what could he do with it just working on the iPad? Could he take his sculpture, traditional Monster Clay sculpture work, and learn ZBrush and then come in and build something? And this is what he built being on the iPad. And to do it justice, we're going to go ahead and say, here you go, here's Monster Clay. And we're going to move into some rendering. This is by Jorge Nagard. And you can see just super beautiful detail, resolution. This is about 5 million. And you can go ahead and hit render, and you can just see the different levels of details that the model actually provide. So it's taking your workflow on the go. So really, if you've been a ZBrush artist, there's absolutely no change in your workflow. It's just now you're on a different device, and you can just continue forward. If you're new to sculpting in general, this is actually a really great way to get your feet wet, to dive in, and to just focus on the model. Or just focus on your art journey, which to me, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Come in, have fun, and just enjoy the process. So, that being said, what time? Let me just time check myself real quick. Okay, great. Yep. That being said, I'm actually pretty much done with my presentation. I just really want to emphasize a couple things, which is the idea that, that's the video. One second. Yes. Okay, here we go. The thing I just want to really emphasize is it doesn't matter really what it is you want to do. If you want to sculpt, if you want to try something, come in, give it a shot. Again, here's another beta test model. He came in here and he just blew it out of the way. You saw it in the promo. You can just see the level of detail. And this is actually 26 million vertices. It's like really intense. And you have just full control of ZBrush. So in my opinion, just go ahead, download it, give it a shot, give a review, let us know. This is a really significant point in ZBrush's history. It's the next level where we want to actually have you have the ability to take stuff on the go, enjoy it. So hopefully I see you guys at coffee shops, on the park, live streaming, or just having a fun time and creating some amazing imagery. So with that, I'll let you get back to IBC, maybe a couple fun little walks around, and I'll see you there. If you guys have any questions, I'm always going to be on the ZBrush side of things, just going ahead playing with it. Please come try to break it. I encourage you to do so, because then we actually know what it is that we can help provide for the future of our feature sets. So again, thank you guys very much, and enjoy the rest of IBC.
Wow, that was exciting.
Thank you.
Are you all going to try it? Please do. You can just go around the corner and try ZBrush for iPad there. Ian will be there as well. You can come back tomorrow. We are here tomorrow and Monday as well. You can try it, enjoy it. You'll get hooked onto it, I can assure you that. And thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you, everybody watching. It's been a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Please scan for a chance of winning Maxon 1 license. And thank you to our partners again, Apple, Dell, HP, ZenSlab, and Wacom for providing the hardware. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.